What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Grind, Season 4, Episode 6. My name's Tyler Wargo.
And I'm Mickey Perella.
And today, we have so much to talk about. And on my half, it's kind of bad news that we got to talk about. I don't know if it's bad news for you, but for me, it's a little bit of a shame. Obviously, Warriors have won the NBA Finals, and Celtics had a really good postseason. And as for hockey, Rangers also got out of the semifinals by the Tampa Bay Lightning. And this is something I was going to tell you guys a couple weeks ago. Obviously, we haven't been in the studio for quite some time, so I really thought that this was my year for sports. I mean, let's look at this. Celtics making all the way to the finals. Rangers making all the way to the semifinals. I mean, I couldn't even believe it, considering how bad. The Rangers were not that bad this season, but how well they handled themselves in the postseason was absolutely incredible. I mean, let's look at this. Rangers being able to put away the Carolina Hurricanes, which was number one. Like, they were just as good as the Tampa Bay Lightning, handling them, beating the Pittsburgh Penguins, making it all the way to the semifinals, almost to the Stanley Cup. And as for the Celtics, having one of their best postseasons that they ever had, shutting out the Nets 4-0 in the series, beating the former NBA champion, the Bucks, and then moving past the Miami Heat. I mean, that was probably the best postseason for hockey and basketball that I've ever seen watching sports in my time. Now, let's talk about it. I mean, I'm not just going to move past this, but let's talk about this. Definitely the Celtics, best postseason that they've ever had in a while. And now that the Warriors, yes, they beat the Celtics in a 4-2 series. Man of the game of Game 6, let's just get this out of the way, Steph Curry. I mean, this guy has 7 assists, 7 rebounds, 34 points. I mean, as much as I don't like Curry now, considering that he put away the Celtics and just like that, I think he deserves it. I mean, he is MVP. And now, let's get Mickey in here for a second. What's your thoughts on the Warriors winning the finals and Steph Curry becoming MVP?
Not too much of a surprise that Steph Curry ended up winning MVP, and it's not really much too surprised that they beat the Celtics, because I predicted that, because I thought they were more experienced and they had some better players in their team. And Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown kind of was their first time in that spotlight. Curry and everyone, they've done it before, so it was easy for them to do it again. And they had a lot of talent on that team as well. I think the Celtics are probably going to be better moving forward. I don't think that the Warriors are going to be as good of a contender from the years and years. But I honestly think that the Warriors had a great shot to win it. And I think that, they did, and they got Curry his 4th championship and his first Finals MVP.
Kind of reminded me of 2016 when they won. The Cavaliers, Warriors, back and forth in the finals all the time. They're just that dynasty team. The chemistry that they have is just insane.
Same 3 players, 4 championships.
What you were saying about the Celtics and how, they now have done this before, they could definitely do this again next season. This does give the Celtics better motivation after this finals loss. It's something that they can definitely improve on. I don't think they're ever going to be losing their players that they had this year. They're going to probably sign them all the contracts. Let's run this back next year. Let's keep the same play style that we have, maybe reduce the turnovers. But definitely looking into next year, they have a lot of confidence. Do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I agree. Now, the last question about this is, and I know I'm all on the Celtics, but that's mostly because the Celtics had more of a, this is like their best, they had a really good run. Could the Celtics have won the finals? What was something that held them back from winning, or at least making it to Game 7?
I think what kind of held them back was Jason Tatum really did not play well in certain instances of the series. And I also think another issue was that they lacked a point guard that could really go into the interior and score. I don't think Marcus Smart, although he's very good and very good at defense.
He's had an ups and downs.
He's had ups and downs scoring. He's not really too much going inside and scoring the basketball really efficiently. And I think that they might need to get maybe they could keep Marcus Smart as like a 6-man guy. I don't really think he's a starter. I think they can kind of get another guy who can go inside and score. So I'm not sure who that is, but they need to address it somehow.
I think you hit the spot. Totally. Look at this. We saw so many three-pointers being shot at the wrong time during the game. We saw these missed shots all over the place. Definitely turnovers. I've never seen so much turnovers. They have definitely, one of the games, I think this is Game 4, one of the games they were doing so well in the first half, but then they give it up in the second half due to turnovers. Turnovers is like their biggest fear right now, and they got to work on that heading into next year. This is just a loss for the Celtics that they had. They just got unlucky. And totally what you've been saying, get a guy that can drive into the paint. I mean, obviously we have Al Horford, who's a big guy. He can drive in the paint. We've been seeing a lot of shots, three-pointers being put up by Al Horford, not really driving inside, but a lot of three-pointers. So there's a lot of things that Celtics have to work on, but I feel like if they can work on the turnovers, the shot selection, driving into the paint, they could definitely run this back next year. Now, let's move past the Celtics losing. San Francisco, I mean, wow, this city in sports have really been a devastation to all my sports teams. I mean, let's look at this. As a Dodger fan, we're rivals to San Francisco Giants.
And they've been good every year.
Yes, we put them away, but we put them away last playoffs. Like, we put them away the past playoffs. You know, we have moved past them. But the Giants have been successful almost every year, better than the Dodgers almost. And not only that, but yes, the Warriors now knocked out the Celtics, so that's even, you know, it hurts me even more. But something that you also got to think of is that Saints are my number one favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. I love the New Orleans Saints. But this past season, they actually did not advance to the playoffs because the 49ers took their playoff spot. So you got the 49ers taking the Saints' playoff spot, and then now you got, you know, the Warriors knocking out the Celtics. And then, yes, maybe not this past playoffs, but many playoffs before, the Giants have knocked out the Dodgers. So this is definitely something that, you know, I don't like San Francisco at this point. I think San Francisco is one of my least favorite teams. You know, I don't like any of their sports teams, and it's just, you know, it just hurts. So now we move on to the NHL Stanley Cup. And yes, the Rangers made it this far. What an amazing playoff run that they had. I didn't even think they'd move past the Carolina Hurricane, but yet they did. And they have kept it close with the Lightning. Actually, it's been kind of a back and forth series between the Lightning and Rangers, and obviously the Lightning, you know, being that, you know, I mean, look at this. Lightning have been in the Stanley Cup playoff 3 years in a row now. I mean, that's just insane. They're like the Warriors. They have that chemistry. They've been there before. And the fact that they can hold the Rangers close in a really good series, but the Lightning sadly moving on, Rangers, I still give a lot of credit to them. Colorado leads 3-1 right now against the Lightning. And I'm happy about that. Obviously, I do not want the Lightning to win at all because they've knocked out the Rangers. Man of Game 4, actually, was Nathan MacKinnon. This guy had 8 shot on goals with 1 goal. I mean, this guy is so aggressive.
Yeah, he really
wow. 8 shot on goals. We don't even see many, especially in the playoffs, depending on how aggressive both teams are. Being able to put up 8 shot on goals, I mean, that's something right there. Victor Hedman for the Lightning had 7 shot on goals with 1 goal. That's another guy you got to look at right now. This guy's the aggressor on the Lightning right now. And when it really comes down to it, I don't think it's not about the guys on the ice. It's about the goalies. The goalies right now are the main factors of the game. Now, I don't know if this is a question for you, but to me, this is a good question. Who's a better goalie, Vasilevskiy or Kuemper? Now, Vasilevskiy, before playing against the Rangers, this guy only gave up 1 goal the entire playoffs. This guy had a tremendous playoffs, and I say tremendous. Until he got to the Stanley Cup, he kind of fell off a bit, but Vasilevskiy definitely shows off against Cooper when it comes to, you know, better postseason. But Kuemper right now, being able to hold him down by 3 games, I mean, that's really good. So the last question I have about this, and this is kind of an easy question for myself, can the Lightning bounce back? And my question is, no, they cannot. I mean, you're down by 2 games right now. You lost in overtime in Tampa Bay, and that was kind of your last time to actually get a win at home. Now they're heading to Colorado tomorrow night, and I think it's over for them. I think they're going to take it back. Game 5, Colorado tomorrow night, and they're going to lose because Colorado has been, you know, unstoppable at home. So I definitely think Colorado is going to win the Stanley Cup Final tomorrow night in Colorado, and that's what I think. So we now head on to MLB from yesterday, and MLB's been kind of interesting. These standings this past season have been very interesting. A lot of teams have been going up and down in the ranks. So let's talk about it. Marlins handled the Rockies at Lone Depot Park 2-3. Rockies' record is 30-40. Marlins' record is 32-36. Man of the game was Braxton Garrett. This guy, I mean, when I typed about this guy, I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah, Braxton Garrett, first-round pick of the Marlins. He really hasn't gotten a shot into the big leagues until this season because of injury, but he's been pitching well in his limited opportunities so far.
Yes, Rockies and Marlins are not really that good. Marlins are in last place right now in the NL East, but being able to have a good pitcher from that's a rookie is really good. Only gave up 9 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Not really much that we would see from a rookie, especially coming back from injury.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams, though, are roughly the same. Both teams are still struggling. Rockies trying to find their spot in the standings, and they just can't. Going with the Marlins. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, they're both the same. I mean, the Rockies aren't really a good team. We kind of expected they weren't going to be a good team. I thought the Marlins would be better than what they are. I thought they'd be over 500 this year, but overall, they've been kind of in between teams, not winning games, and kind of just on like the
I don't think these are really
fringes.
Important teams to look at.
No,
but these are important teams. The next matchup is absolutely big, and actually I have something to say about the Giants. We'll get to that, but let's get over this first. Braves won at home, facing the Giants 7-6. Now the Braves Braves now stand second in the NL East. I remember the last time we had a conversation about this, it was about if the Braves were going to surpass the Mets, in which they have not ever since we were here. But the Braves have not lost that second NL East spot. As for the Giants, they actually fell behind. I mean, this is something that a lot of Giants fans are kind of shocked to see, but they're third in the NL West. They are now being surpassed by the Padres. Just last season, the Giants were in second place behind the Dodgers, and now the Padres, where they came from, just 1 year ago, they were doing worse than the Giants. Now they're doing better. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the Padres have really stepped it up this year, even without Fernando Tatis Jr., who's been dealing with an injury. They've been really doing well on other facets with Manny Machado. They're pitching. They've gotten some pitching back with Yu Darvish and Mike Clevenger. They're just a better team this year than they were last year, even with some injury issues and some holes to fill in the bullpen specifically. But I think that they're in a very good spot. The Giants were kind of crazy last year because they had a bunch of players that no one's really ever heard of that really stepped up, and they also had players who really had bounce-back years, like Evan Longoria and Brandon Belt and Brandon Crawford and those type of guys. But now this year they're kind of going back to kind of declining. The players that aren't really, that they used to have aren't really doing as well. The pitching is different. Kevin Gausman left for Toronto, and he's, the pitching isn't as good. So I think the Giants are kind of falling back because they're just a weaker team, and they were kind of a little bit fluky last year.
Right, but it is still shocking, though, because they did pick up Jock Peterson. I mean, this guy won.
Oh, and Jock Peterson's been awesome for them.
Yeah, right. And I mean, he's been doing well. I mean, I think he hit a grand slam, right? Something like that against the Braves in Atlanta. And then they have Mike Yastrzemski, although Yastrzemski hasn't really been stepping up to the plate as of late. But Evan Longoria, really good veteran for the team. So they had these players. Their players have just fallen back.
Yeah, I think losing Buster Posey to retirement has hurt them.
Right. But like I said, in the end, it all comes down to draft picks, comes down to who they pick up in their farm system, and really just goes down from there. Now, a really good question that I have is the Braves. Let's look at them. Do they have the best relief in the MLB? They got Tyler Matzik. They got Will Smith as a closer. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, they do. They do. They're awesome. They really step up to the plate. They get people out. They're better than their starters.
Yeah.
And and that's how they've been doing, winning a lot of games,
Yeah.
dude. They're really good relief pitching. Spencer Strider was there in the beginning of the year, and he's been doing great. Really good job by the Braves so far.
And they're young, so if they're able to sign them to contracts, keep them healthy, I think it's going to be really crucial in midseason. Now, the last question I have is, will the Giants ever take second place in the NL West? I know I know the Padres are well ahead of the Giants, but it just comes down to, will the Giants, get their bats up and running, and will they surpass them? And
No.
But then again, they're pitching. They got to improve all around, not just their hitting, but their pitching. And
we'll see what they do
fielding.
at the trade deadline to really help their team.
Well, they already spent a lot of money, actually, on Jock Peterson. So now we head on to Pirates battling the Cubs 7-8 in Pittsburgh. Dodgers swept the Reds 10-5, no doubter right here. Although Phil Bickford yesterday got me a little scared because this guy gave up a 3-run homer, and I was like, of course, Phil Bickford, you take him out, you put him in instead of Kershaw, who knows what can happen. Phil Bickford has really been falling off as of late. He's on my fantasy team, and I got to take him off. So yeah, Clayton Kershaw, he's back up and running again. I mean, this guy obviously was injured, which as a Kershaw fan, kind of it hurts. But he's back. The first time he pitched, he was iffy, but now he's fully back because yesterday he had 7 strikeouts, giving up 7 hits and 1 walk. So Kershaw again back to having that good year that he's having.
And that Cooperstown curveball that he's got, man.
Right.
He's got that curve.
All of his strikeouts are from that curveball.
Yep.
I mean, this is one of the best curveball throwers in the league. We love seeing it. Ever. You could definitely see that he gets it from Sandy Koufax and all those players. So, Trace Thompson. Let's talk about Trace Thompson.
Yeah, he's back.
This guy.
He's back.
Well, he's covering for Mookie Betts.
Right.
He's not fully in the lineup, but he's covering for Mookie Betts. But wow, this guy is a really good replacement for Mookie Betts. This guy already had a home run. He's young.
And he's been with the Dodgers before, so they know all about him.
Right. I mean, this guy is really good. This guy just showing up to the plate. And I think a good question is, will they eventually put him in the lineup for a starter? What do you think?
No, I think he's just a cover guy because he's Mookie Betts' replacement.
Right.
And the Dodgers are stacked, so he's just going to be good.
It's really good that they have backup players. It's really nice to have backup players.
Yeah, definitely.
And now let's talk about Cody Bellinger. This guy, obviously, I mean, it's been a roller coaster for this guy, a roller coaster season. He's just been, having them slumps all the time. But he is finally back. I mean, home run after home run, driving in the runs, being that good fielder he is. He's finally coming back. And will he keep this up though? Because I
think he will. I'm going to say he will. You know why? I'll say because here's the thing: Bellinger was an MVP.
Right.
Anybody can do that. You can bounce back and get on a streak.
Right.
I mean, he hasn't had too many terrible injuries either. Like another guy who's kind of in this situation who's been struggling has been Christian Yelich in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
He kind of had the same sort of issues as Bellinger has, like striking out, not doing as well. But he's had back issues, which is another big deal. Bellinger hasn't. So I think he definitely can return to somewhat if he once was.
And now we move on from Cody Bellinger, and let's talk about Joey. Let's talk about the Reds side now. I mean, they are the last in their standings right now. They're not doing well. This is definitely not Cincinnati's year, and maybe not even next year.
No.
So has Joey Votto fallen off? This guy is a veteran. He's so good. One of the best first basemen out there. But, I mean, he's certainly not doing the best. And if he was doing the best, the Reds would be in a better spot. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think that if Joey Votto was doing the same, I don't think that the Reds would be that much better. But I definitely think he's fallen off a little bit. He is getting older, but I honestly think that his Hall of Fame will wait him in a couple years. So, you know what, Joey? I don't understand staying because the team stinks. Either just leave Cincinnati, go to a different team.
They did pick up players, but they're not doing well with those players. So.
Yeah, I mean, the Reds stink.
But the key players now,
they just stink.
The key players for the Reds, besides Joey Votto, is Pham, India, and Solano. These are the only guys that can get the bats up and running.
Definitely India. Jonathan India has been great.
Well, he didn't have that good of a game yesterday, but Tommy Pham with a 3-run home run against Phil Bickford, that was really crucial. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, these are the players that could step up to the plate a bit, and they're doing that. But it's just the fielding and the pitching and everything that goes with the Reds that are making the Reds what they are. Twins topped the Guardians 1-0. Brew Crew conquered the Cardinals in Milwaukee 4-6. Mariners drove through the Athletics 2-1. And then now we have the Yankees who beat the Astros 7-6. Yankees, I mean, they're keeping their spot, but they're just hanging on. I mean, obviously they played phenomenal against Toronto, and putting away the Astros is crucial. So that's really good to see. Orioles beat the White Sox. Finally, the Orioles got a couple wins. I mean, they never have a good year. You know how the Orioles are. 4-0, they beat the White Sox. Phillies beat the Padres 6-2. And now, what does that win mean for the Phillies after beating San Diego?
It means that they're just going to be a mediocre team. I mean, let's just be honest with the Phillies.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a winning streak, which was great. They fired Joe Girardi, their manager. They got him on a nice winning streak. That's awesome for them. But I don't see them really contending because they have a lot of issues on their team. They're still very defensively not good right now. Their pitching is hit or miss right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't even think I think they're relief is what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're relief.
Corey Knebel, former Dodger,
and their defense,
and Familia. Yep. Familia and Knebel have been one of the best players on the team seasons back. Yeah. And now, I mean, it's really bad.
And the problem is that they're going to have to catch the Mets, and the Mets have been the class of the National League this year. And they're going to have to catch the Braves, and the Braves are a better team than them.
Forget about the Phillies this year. because they got to get through Braves and the Mets. Good luck doing that. I mean, the Braves, they can't even surpass the Mets. So, I mean, that's just crazy. So we now move on to the MLB, and the last segment will be for high school. High school is now over. It's finished. So we're going to talk about high school sports. We're going to talk about the teams that finished off their record and finished off their teams. And it's now 20-6, Danbury. That was their record finishing off their baseball. Pretty good, 20-6. Danbury's always been good. They were good last year, good this year. They could definitely run it back next year. And that's for Danbury softball. They are, if it loads, 23-3. One of the best teams in the league. 23-3. Three losses, 23 wins. That's crazy to see. I know the last time I came here talking about it, they were on an undefeated streak of 9, which is absolutely insane. And then that really wraps it up. So
I got a couple more things to add before we wrap it up.
Newtown is 12-10. They were hanging on. They kept their wins and losses consistent. And it's just loading. And as for Newtown softball, their overall is 16-5. Their softball is really good. Not as good as Danbury, though. And then lastly, for Pompey baseball and softball, their overall is 9-13. Pompey did not have that good of a baseball season this year. Maybe next year. As for softball, maybe they did better than the baseball team. Who knows? But their overall was, if it loads,
while we wait, we'll go up to what I was about to say while that loads. So, anyways, the NBA draft was last night, and we saw some players get drafted. The Orlando Magic had the #1 overall pick, and they took Banchero from Duke. So that was interesting. It was kind of a surprise. They kind of came up out of nowhere. And then also, the 2nd overall pick, the Thunder, they took Chet Holmgren, the center from Gonzaga, who's a really talented player.
The Thunder need people.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, my goodness.
And the Rockets, who had the 3rd pick, they took Jabari Smith from Auburn, and that was really cool to see. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is that in MLB, the Mets and the Yankees are the best 2 teams in the league, both from New York. I mean, what are the odds this year?
And what are the odds that, not anymore, but a couple months back, Dodgers and the Angels were tied in the NL West. We kind of had the top 2 teams in the NL West, AL and NL West, be the Angels and Dodgers, 2 Los Angeles teams. And now we have, 2 New York teams doing really well. So, but it just loaded. Pompey softball did not do that well. Pompey baseball did a little bit better than the softball team.
Yep.
But Pompey record was 9-12. So hopefully they can go get them next year because this year was not their year. I want to say Danbury did the best though this year. Maybe they can keep it up next year, but shout out to Danbury for doing that well this season. So that's going to wrap it up for the Sports Grind. A lot to talk about today. Hopefully we make a revenge on San Francisco. I'm talking 49ers. I'm talking, Warriors. I'm talking Dodgers beating the Giants. My teams need our revenge on San Francisco. Like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of I'm tired of San Francisco, putting my teams down. It's time for an end.
Definitely.
Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for Sports Grind Season 4, Episode 6. My name's Tyler Wargo.
And I'm Mickey Perella.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back here in 3 weeks because I'm going to be away. So, yeah. Bye.